Esselamu Aleyküm ve Rahmetullah. Euzubillahimineşşeytanirracim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allahümme allimna ma yenfa'una ve enfa'na bima allamtana ve zidna ilma ve erinel hakka hakkan ve rzuqna ittiba'ah erinel batila batilen ve rzuqna ijtinabe. Hasbunallahu ve ni'mel vekil, ni'mel mevla ve ni'mel nasir, gufraneke Rabbena ve ileykel masir. Hasbunallahu la ilahe illa ente aleyke tevekkelna ve ente rabbul arşil azim ve sallillahumma ala Muhammedin ve ala alihi ve ashabihi ve etba'ihi ve sellem velhamdülillahi rabbil alemin. Amin. We have been studying a couple of the prophetic narrations from the Quran. And now I wanted to share my understanding of these interpretations. Of course, I learned it from the scholars, but that's my conclusion that I'm going to share with you from what I learned from the scholars. So, the main problem is this. Most people read the Quran and see that it is full of stories, and especially the stories of the people, mostly destroyed by Allah, and let's say they rejected the prophets, that's why they were destroyed. That is interesting, because none of the people mentioned in the Quran who were destroyed because they didn't believe in God. That is extremely important to bear in mind. Why? Believing in God is ingrained, encoded in human creation. Nowadays, it is called human nature. They somehow can be responsible for their usage of their potentialities, their capacities given to them by their Creator. But if they deny God, of course, it is not a good choice. That is obvious. No one say that denying God is normal. No, it is, if you like, unnatural to human creation or human body, or human construction, human spirit, human feelings, unnatural. But the people choose to pray or to believe in God or not to believe in God. That is a very important matter. But as far as the responsibility before God is concerned, that is completely another matter. Why? In order to know one's responsibility towards the Creator, this person, or this people, or the person must be given the news about God, and must be given the news about the purpose of creation, must be given the news what are expected from him. For this purpose, people are sent prophets. So we understand that with the sending of the prophet, responsibility starts for human beings. And the responsibility and the content of the responsibility and what is the end of the creation, the purpose of creation, and accordingly how one is going to use his free will. These are the matters These are the methods which are called in the Quran as, in original language Quran, ad-din. So if din means translated into English as religion, okay, we use it, but religion is not used in this culture, in this world, as a comprehensive, comprehensive as the Quran uses a din, much wider and deeper meaning, etc. That is not our subject, but our subject is the purpose in sending the prophet, and what does receiving the prophetic message for us mean for us. What does it mean to receive the prophetic message for me? So it means prophetic message establishes religion, a din. Din is the guideline for every aspect of human being. Every aspect, what I mean. For example, starting from how am I going to use my body is included in din. The person who has not received the prophet is not responsible for it. He just uses his body like an animal, takes care of his body. I don't know why, but he does. He doesn't know why, but he does. But not with human consciousness. So starting from a human body and follows my human feelings, my human reasoning, intellect, my human spirit. Of course, we have to know, we learn that the religion teaches me prophetic message, teaches me how I should use my reason. The list goes on. So only after being introduced to these guidelines from the Creator, then the responsibility, believe in God and listen to the prophetic message starts. But it doesn't mean that prophetic message automatically makes you believe, or prophetic message automatically needs to be confirmed. No, you have to be careful, because anybody in the world can claim that he's a prophet. But there are some, mentally suffering people, disordered people, in the hospitals, mental hospitals. We hear that they say they receive message from God, but they say something, absurd things. Doesn't matter, but some people may claim that they received some message from God and try to manipulate people's mind. Of course, we don't know which one is true or not. First, the human responsibility starts from what? From a person who claims that, who has received the message from the Creator of the universe. As soon as we hear this, we have to take notice of this and see if there is any sign that this person is sent by the Creator of the universe. How can I make sure this? I can make sure this because he says, I am, the prophet is expected to say, I am employed by the Lord of the words, Rabbul Alameen. It means the creator of the universe. So I say, okay, if he's the creator of the universe, the message out there must be confirmable by the witnessing, by the evidence of the universe. And the universe includes in human beings. And also the message that the prophet brings must be compatible with human feelings expectations, reasonings. Nothing should be contradictory to human nature. I'm using this word consciously because I know nature is a stupid word, in fact, meaningless to me, but it conveys the message in order to make this discussion somehow uh, understandable. Human nature, when we say human nature, it doesn't mean that human beings are the products of nature, so-called, whatever it is. But we know that the way their uh, human characteristics, their disposition as they are created with the qualities which are obvious out there, as I am now looking that I have intelligence, I have consciousness, I have feelings, and I have free will. I am using them. So, and then I'm free to use my free will. None of them is produced by me. Neither food that I eat can produce all these. What then? Whoever created the universe must be my creator. So, the message that a person says, I have received from God, is expected to be compatible with the evidence that I see in the universe. They are all purposeful, meaningful, within a perfect order, and also must be compatible with my own human nature. Now, I have to decide after studying, investigating, making a research of the message that the person says, I am employed by God and this message is from God, then my responsibility starts if I am convinced. How? I have to study it, I have to see what is said there, and I have to apply it to my life, and then I am responsible to take care of my life according to the teachings of the prophetic message and the exemplary life of the prophet itself. That is how religion is established. That is how real human life is established in the world. So these prophets, the sending of the prophets, is the main source of our responsibility. What does it mean, responsibility? Don't be afraid of this word, responsibility, because it means my human side is going to function in such a perfect way that I will be the happiest person in the world. Why? Because I am using my body, I am using my rationality, intellect, I am using my feelings, I am using my human questions and getting the right answer, appropriate answer in the best way that fits my uh, primordial nature, if you call. Now, that is how human beings are perfected. So the prophets are sent. That is for this purpose. And that is why now I am going to learn. I think what we are going to talk now is very important to notice because somehow uh, we may not take notice of this side of the Quranic teaching or the prophetic teachings in general. Now, prophets are sent in order to give a perfect, if you like, a format, uh, a form to human nature so that the people will be happy because they are using their human capacity, everything, whatever they are, in the best way, most appropriate way, uh, uh, appropriate to the capacity of the human nature. So what I need now, examples. What example? I'm going to apply this teaching in my practical life? So I need examples. How should I do it? For example, let's say for example, the Quran says, although all prophetic teachings say the same thing, but specifically the Quran, we are studying the Quran, so we can talk in the example of the Quran now. Quran says, do good works. Ah, and be aware of muttaqi, aware of not, not falling into mistakes, not making mistakes. What are they? I mean, don't deny God. Okay, I'm not denying God. And act accordingly, according to what? I need examples. I need practical guidance because theoretical teaching addresses only my intellectual understanding, but I cannot really apply it. Every one of you here, including myself, can easily understand that if a practical uh, discipline, let's say chemistry, the best example, as far as I can think of, what you learn in your class theoretically is not enough at all. What you have to do, you have to go to the lab and make practice, really do it, and then learn it, and you will be able to do it then. Otherwise, only the theoretical framework doesn't help you to practically apply it to your life. So I need practical examples because religion, ad-din, with the language of the Quran, is a practical matter. It is not only theory. Religion necessitates belief in God, belief in hereafter. That is fundamental. That is the foundation. I understand. But yes, I believe in the hereafter. Okay. After I die, I will be resurrected. Fine. So what? What shall I do? Yeah, I will be resurrected. Okay. But I have to do something accordingly. How can I use my life, utilize my living, my life, and the things around me so that I will be prepared for a new creation? It is not like coming into this world, because when I come to this world, I am given the abilities to prepare myself after coming into this world. But the next creation must be a different one. If it was going to be the same in the next creation, then why should I be given death? It means why should I die and then uh, be resurrected and then given another world if the conditions were going to be the same? It is uh, unacceptable, irrational, just an unnecessary thing. But if we are going to be given a new life, it means as we come to this world, in the course of time, we prepare our life in order to get ready for the hereafter. That is why belief in the hereafter needs practical example. How should I act according to the belief in the hereafter? It is exactly the same. How should I act according to belief in God? How should I act according to belief in angels, prophetic messages, etc.? So acting is the religion. Belief is not religion, although it is necessary. Now, I think we understood this. It is easy to understand. I believe in God. It doesn't make a religion. There are people who are called theists. They believe in God. And the founding fathers of America were all theists. So They believe in God. But even the money you have now, it clearly says that in God we trust. Yeah, look at this. Trust in God beyond belief. But trust in God, how? Or have money in your pocket. How can I really reconcile between I am trusting in God, but at the same time, without money, I cannot do anything? No, it is claim is not enough. I don't know how to live according to belief in God without money. No, so I need guidance, practical guidance to learn. So the prophets are sent for this. So each prophet, we see that in the Quran, is told in the story of the prophet one or more examples of the practical life of a human being or a society from one aspect of one aspect of life or another aspect of life. It means prophetic narrations in the Quran are so important as far as to learn our religion. That is why we see plenty of narrations about the prophetic life, examples, practical examples. That is very important. I underline this word, practical examples in the stories of the prophets. So each practical example, again, this is also very important to notice. It is also very important that every prophetic narration in the Quran represents one side of me, one feeling of me, one understanding of me. Me. It means if you say there are 20 something narrations about the prophets or the ideal people like Zulkarnain, like Khidr, etc., like Luqman, Quran narrates them, or Ashab al-Kahf, Quran narrates them not as the prophets or Moses' mother, for example, or Jesus' mother, Isaiah's mother, for example. They are disputed whether prophets or not, doesn't matter, but the Quran presents them as ideal examples for our life conditions. It means one side of me needs this example as a guide for me. Now, we have to have in our mind a form of understanding of religion and necessarily corollary, they say, corollary of this understanding, we have to understand the messengership, what it is. Really. Why do I need messengers? Do I really need it? Using my own free will and examples in the creation around me, can I not really learn what is the best way? So look at it and look at the people. They are trying to learn. Those people who don't listen to the prophetic messages, they try themselves, they see themselves as the source of true guidance for human nature. They experience what? Only contradictions. How do I do that? How do I know that? Look at the history of philosophy. Every philosopher claims that they have the best way of explaining what this universe is all about, what this human being is all about. But read the history of the prophetic, philosophical traditions. Every philosopher contradicts the previous philosopher. In one way or another, they see the mistakes in the previous philosophers, and they try either completely something else or change it form of another philosophical theory. And most of the philosophical theories, most of them, you know, Epicurus of something, there are some names, I don't really mind about the names. These philosophical traditions or theories have nothing to do with real life conditions. They are just theories. They are just theoretical advices to human beings how to understand what the creation is all about. Whereas, when we see the prophetic tradition as they are narrated in the Quran, or practically we see Jewish narration, which has almost 3,500 years, Christian Jesus' tradition, which has 2,000, maybe more than 2,000 years, they are confirming each other. They are teaching the real life conditions. Everything. For example, complaining about the tyrants and rejecting the tyranny. Most of the prophetic example includes this, because there are two sources of tyranny in the world. It means the political power may be abused and turned into tyranny, completely oppressing people and taking the properties and labor of the people, enslaving them, etc., by one family. If you really are very careful, in the countries, they claim that they are ruled by democracy. They are mostly, American people are very much aware of it, they are mostly really controlled and oppressed, manipulated by a certain number of families. So king is not the king. King is the palace. Palace is the family. So the family of the king, everywhere is this. In democratic countries also, democracies are manipulated by certain families. This is the source of tyranny. The prophets are, some prophetic examples are demonstrated in the Quran to teach us how to deal with these people. Most of the prophetic examples are about this matter. Even a very specific case, if a religion is abused by certain class, which are called uh, religious people or religious leaders, scholars, clergy, religious clergy, and a prophet comes out and represents the struggle against the abusive religious authorities. Isn't that strange? Who can tell me in which prophetic narration we see in the Quran that this struggle is represented. Anybody, please? Go ahead. Without raising your hand, just speak.
Moses.
Uh, 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 Religious authorities.
So Pharaohic kind of.
It is not religious authority. It is kingdom authority. It is power authority. It means power, material power. And it is science authority. The Pharaoh was representing the power of scientific discoveries of that time, which are represented in the Quran as magicians. So you may be right, but according to me, not religious authority, clergy, religious scholars.
So would you say like Judaic ideas or something like that?
Yeah, closer, but who rebelled against it as a prophet?
Or was it Isa from?
Perfect. Congratulations. But congratulations, according to my understanding. I may be wrong, but Jesus, Isa alayhi salam. Correct? But not only the tyrants, this power tyrants, army tyrants, dictators, and I mean, using force and oppressing people, abusing them, etc., enslaving them. Not only this, but enslaving the people, Moses rebels against the family, or let's call it palace household, which enslaves certain kind of people. And it is interesting, we will study Musa's example now in the Quran, so we will go in details there. Musa is enough. The name Musa alayhi salam is enough. So, but Isa alayhi salam started his struggle against the rabbinic tradition of understanding and also somehow misusing, distorting Torah tradition. He wanted to revive the true version of Torah and struggled for it. Now, some people become successful, some prophets become successful, some prophets may not become successful in this world. In the Akhirah, okay, I understand they are all successful. But in this world, Jesus, for example, the prophet could not really achieve his purpose while he is living in this life. And some the Christian people claim that he was killed, he was crucified, and the Quran says no, God saved him. When we study, inshallah, Jesus' life, we will go into detail. What does it mean that Jesus has been taken by God to his own side, if you like, protected him, taken away. They didn't kill him. He is now alive. What does it mean? Of course, that is the approach we have. What does it mean for me, for my practical life? Because when Quran mentions about the life of a prophet, it means it really addresses one side of my human feelings and gives a guidance from it. So Jesus elevated to heaven and saved by God. They couldn't kill him, although they wanted to kill him. According to them, they are the murderers because they intended on purpose to kill him. But according to reality, they couldn't kill him because God saved him, but they thought they killed him. So they are murderers. They are killers in this world because they really wanted to kill him and they thought they did it, but wrongly somebody else. Even somebody else, they are murderers, but their intention was to kill the prophet. Now, they didn't believe that he was a prophet. But in reality, they intended to kill the prophet. That is Isa alayhi salam. But he is saved and taken to heaven. What shall I do in this world? I mean, do you think God will save me and take me to heaven if somebody attacks me or because of my religious belief? What is the practical side of it? Which kind of help it provides for me for my practical life conditions now before I die? But if one says, of course, if you struggle, even if you are killed, you will be a martyr, and the martyr will be given the highest level in paradise. That is in the hereafter. I don't deny that must be so. All the prophets were given the highest status in the hereafter. But here, whether they are successful or not, Jesus wasn't successful. But surprisingly, although lots of things happened in Christian history, but Jesus now is the prophet who has most followers in number. Quality-wise, that is known by Allah. Quantity-wise, we know that they almost double the number of the Muslims in the world. Maybe, yeah, again, double the number of the Buddhists in the world, and Eastern tradition in general, Buddhist, Hindu, Shintoists, etc., whatever they are. They call them Taoism, something like that. But all of them, they are the Christians are the most populated or the biggest number in the world now. But in his lifetime, he was not successful. That's the example. In this life, we may not be successful, but how are we going to take him to heavens in this life? We have to study that, inshallah. Inshallah, it's a very interesting point everywhere.
I have a question. What is your criteria for successful when you say it was not successful?
The mission will be delivered to people and the people will accept it at the end. In this world, not in the hereafter. In the hereafter, whether people accept or not, as long as you do your duty, you will be given fully your price, if you like, your reward. Now, it means Jesus really, okay, let me ask some questions now. See the prophets now in the Quran, narrated in the Quran. Now, give me an example of a prophet who was a slave and became a king. Come on. Don't make, I mean, according to me, it may be wrong, but it may be you are right.
Joseph?
Exactly. No, yeah. Joseph, Yunus, alayhi salam. Okay? He was a slave and became a acting king, actually. Position was, may not be according, it's not that, it's just the Aziz, the king. Okay. Example, look, a slave may be a king, all right? To be king, becoming a person of exile and leaving everything, leaving the palace. Who was he? Go ahead, everybody, try. A prince.
Moses.
Sorry?
Moses.
Exactly. Thank you. And who was the prophet who was the father having problems with his children? Problem family.
Abraham.
Abraham.
Noah,
Yeah.
Is-
Sorry.
Isaac, Ishaq,
And
Noah as well.
Noah.
Ishaq.
Yeah. 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 Thank you, Ed. Who was the
Yaqub.
yes, 12, 11 children caused lots of problems with his children. Okay. A child having problems with his father in the prophetic mission. A child having problems with his father.
Abraham.
Correct. I mean, I'm not in the authority to correct or reject it, but I am comparing with my knowledge, with my understanding of the narrations. So, according to me, correct, it doesn't mean that in reality it is correct. It may be for a scholar, may say, no, it is not, but this one. All right, I say Ibrahim is correct. A husband having problems with his wife.
Lut.
And correct. Somehow, no.
I think it was, wasn't it also Noah Hassan?
Yeah, correct. Okay. A wife having problem with his husband, with her husband. Sorry, I made a very grave mistake with his husband. Her husband. All right.
Pharaoh's wife.
Exactly. How she is called? I mean, in the tradition, not in the Quran, I think.
What's her name?
Asiya or something?
Asiya. Okay. A prophet having problems with Satan and somehow following him. Satan.
Abraham.
Adam.
No, Adam.
Yeah.
Adam. But of course, Satan is just self-centered, selfish. I am going to reach the eternity. Understand? And thinking that how can I reach it? Maybe this, maybe that, and forgetting about that eternity is possible only by God. For a while, there were mistakes. There are mistaken. Okay. Adam. So, who is a prophet who killed a man, although by mistake, but
Musa.
killer? Yeah. Everybody knows it. Who is the prophet who saved the life of a dead man?
Isa.
Isa alayhi salam. Alayhimus salam, all of them. Okay? Now, what are we doing here? We can make all these life experiences in our own life, our own living conditions. We may kill a man. We may try to save a man. Yeah, we may. We may have problems with our wives, with our husbands, depending. We may have problems with our children. A child may have problems with his father, her father. Yeah, we may be a king and become a slave almost. We may be a slave and become a king almost. All our life experiences. Have you noticed that? Quran is just giving our practical life. How are we going to deal with these conditions in one day or another? We will be really, one way or another, we will be encountering small or big examples of these life conditions. Let's go ahead, continue. Who was the prophet who inherited kingdom from his father? Kingdom. Where the kingdom?
Was it Solomon?
Solomon.
Sulaiman. Yeah? Sulaiman alayhi salam. So, who was the king? Sorry. Now, a prophet in the king position was asking God to increase his worldly properties so that no one can compete with him.
Suleiman.
Yes, Suleiman. You see, you may have this feeling. You may be the richest, you may have a feeling of to be the richest man in the world. Yeah. And how are you going to deal this feeling? How are you going to manipulate this feeling? All the Suleiman's examples with his horses and properties and his competition or his relationship with other kingdoms, how he was really attacking, threatening them, asking them to come and follow him and join him. Not only join him, following him, becoming under his control. Suleiman. And we may be having this kind of feelings. I must be the richest man in the world, and everybody will come to me. You may have, okay, if they come under my ruling, I will help them. Okay, it's not wrong. But at the same time, the problem is, how am I going to deal with these human feelings in my practical life? Right? It is very practical examples. Let's continue. Who was the prophet who was almost a prosperous man and lost everything?
Ayub.
Yeah, and gained again. What? Of course, it's a perfect example. One may be bankrupted one day. How is he going to recover? Right? It is interesting, isn't it? I mean, I found them interesting. Ayub. And who was the prophet who failed unsuccessful and lost all his hopes and stopped his mission? These people are not going to.
Jonah.
Yep. Perfect. Yunus alayhi salam. Who was the prophet who continued untiring? How do you say? Without tiring. Tirelessly, thank you very much. His mission, but at the end, asking God, they don't listen to me. Destroy, oh my God, these people, unbelievers.
Noah alayhi
But look, you may get fed up. These are very interesting practical life conditions, actually. You may be really fed up with the people. You speak to them, you convey the message, you deliver the message. They call it among the Muslim people, make dawah. No one listens to you. You say, you get angry. This is human feelings. You may not, but that's human feelings. It is possible. You get angry and say, please God, destroy them. Yeah. Noah is the example of it. Open. Okay. Now, a prophet continuing his mission in spite of the people around him he is addressing to, and they were trying to kill him, but he never ever lost his hope and asked Allah, God, to have mercy on them and help them to confirm the truth, to become aware of the truth. And at the end, he he is successful. Success? Yes?
Prophet Muhammad sallallahu
Yeah, alayhi salatu wassalam. That is why he is called what? the prophet of mercy. Yeah. He, oh, you all know this better than me, tried his best to convey and save the worldly and eternal life hereafter in spite of their deadly enmity. Yeah, that is very interesting, mashallah. So, and I don't know, this is a little bit tricky point now. I am looking at my notes actually here. So who was the prophet? An intellectual person, and all the prophets are intelligent, but intellectual person, and expected to rule the country by his people. They were waiting that he will be the best ruler and an intelligent man. They trusted him, but he turned out to call them to submit to God and not sought after the rulership, but asking people to accept God, to follow him, and disappointed. And the people get disappointed. We were expecting you to get the highest level and to become our ruler, but you say nothing to do with ruling, but I'm just asking you to come to submit yourself to God. Search for it. Okay? Any guess so far?
Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi
Or or they were not expecting him to become a ruler because
They
all
were
Moses?
offering him it.
no. But it is not expected. They were disappointed that they are not going to stop this person, and the message is spreading. So it's a reconciliation. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
Moses?
Oh, no, because they didn't know Moses, and also he was a prince in Pharaoh's palace.
Luqman?
Was the most unexpected man. Sorry?
Luqman?
No. I mean, as far as I know, it is not. And so, look for it. Okay. People relying on. Sorry?
Yeah, the people didn't expect, was it the king chosen for Banu Israel?
Oh.
And they didn't accept him. Risale, is that his name?
He is, who did you say?
Zalut?
Zal.
Oh, sorry, Talut.
Oh, no. He
Yeah.
wasn't. The people were not expecting him. He was a shepherd.
Zulkarnain?
Zulkarnain, first of all, it is disputed, it's a prophet, but at the same time, it's the best example. But people were not expecting it. He was the already ruling person, but invaded over all the world. Now, yeah, some prophets. Excuse me, let me finish this and then I will listen to you. There is a prophet who had no followers at all. There is an exemplary person. You can say as it is, as if it is like a prophetic mission, but exemplary person. Quran doesn't specify that he was a prophet. Zulkarnain invaded all the world. Look, from the very extreme of not having any followers to another extreme of having the domain all over the world. Now, Zulkarnain is the second one. So, every aspect and possibilities opened in front of human beings, in front of you and me, is represented with an example of a prophet under the guise of, under the disguise of prophetic message. prophetic example. But these are our life conditions. Okay, let's go a bit fast because the time is just up. Okay. Who was the prophet? I said, okay. Who was the prophet? Who was a shepherd? Shepherd, but at the end become a ruler of a people, certain people, and these people, this his tradition produced many empires. Who was it?
Prophet
Muhammad.
Muhammad.
Yeah, he was a shepherd, and he became the leader of Medinian administration, and out of it, how many? The Umayyads, Abbasites, and Seljuk, and this, what was it? Ayyubil, yes, Ayyubis, and Ottomans, etc., etc. Who was the prophet who saved people who, at the end, still complained his, I mean, saved people, but people were still complaining about his God. Go and ask your God and fight with your God. We are looking at who are they? This obvious.
Moses.
Yeah, obvious. Yes. Look, you can have some people. For example, you can say help somebody. You and I, actually, not only you. We may have helped some people, somebody, and this person still complains about what you did for them. What you helped them, you saved them from the worst life conditions, economically maybe, intellectually maybe, but at the end, still, this person may complain. What are you going to do? Moses' example is out there for us. Okay, you know that these people, let's go a bit faster now. These people received ready food from heaven. Ready, everything is ready. They shouldn't bother about anything. Everybody's ideal life now, but at the end, still they said, no, we want to do farming and work with our own labor. You know this, don't you?
Bani Israel.
Yes, exactly, the children of Israel. So there are other examples also. They were given lots of food, yeah, lots of food, luxurious, luxurious things. I mean, gardens, and that time, of course, not industrial matters, but luxurious gardens, etc. But at the end, still, they denied. Also, there are. There is another example of the people. They said, "Oh, whatever you call them, God or somebody, the prophet." They rejected the prophet. You go, you say, God destroys. Our houses are so secure. This I think hiving it's called, hiving the stones and having houses in the inside the like caves inside the mountains, and nothing can damage us. Nothing can really destroy us. Look at the strong mountain there, and we are secured by the mountain. So these are also destroyed. And of course, you know that um, how God destroyed them. These are the stories. It means if I say, look, uh, my state, let's say that America is the most, I don't know whether it's true or not, the most powerful economy. the economy of America is the most powerful one in the world. Okay. And of course, it is state controlled, it's state secured, insured, all the banking system here. I have not 1 million, but $1 trillion in my life. So no one can really ever harm me and my life is secure. No. The same thing. You don't have to have a cave and say that this cannot be destroyed. No, 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 you can. It can. Is it possible? You can be destroyed completely. These are the feelings that trusting in your bank account nowadays or properties nowadays cannot save and secure your worldly life. Not only akhirah. Akhirah is completely different matter. Definitely will happen. But now in this world, you may have a very terrible life, miserable life, while you are having billions in your bank account. No one can tell me. There are many examples of it, and there are the prophetic examples as well from the prophetic examples. Okay, another one, I think you know that a prophet becomes a student of another person.
Moses.
Yes, yes, the Moses and Khidr. Look, the student said, you can be a professor in your profession.
We lost your voice, Brother Ali. You can be a what? Prophet?
Sorry?
You were explaining prophet becoming the student of another prophet.
Yeah, Moses and Khidr. Yes, Allah shows us this example. You don't have to wait for a Khidr, but it's an example that you may be the top person in the world, in your field. Still, you need something to learn. You need something remains out there that you need to learn. Don't forget this. Don't be arrogant. Don't be proud of your knowledge. You are still, in one respect, you may be a professor, teacher, but in another respect, you are still a student. Don't forget that. That is a beautiful example of Moses and Khidr. So, yeah, you may be living in a place where you believe something among you, not within yourself. You say, these people are really worshiping the word. Am I going to follow them? No, I know that this word is transient. Yeah, I can use the word, but I not worship the word. I'm not saying nature. I cannot say nature is feeding me, etc. And you are threatened. You are threatened. Oh, time is up. But this doesn't finish. So you are threatened by the people and, for example, fired from your job. Is it possible? Possible. God says, okay, I can save you. Don't worry. You may be fired from the position of something. Let's say you may be the CEO of a biggest company, but you don't believe that the company's policy is really worth to be followed. And it is wrong. And the people may try to kill you, but God saves you. Example? Whose example is given in this case in the Quran? No? Come on, you know it. Maybe I didn't. Sorry, go ahead.
Abraham?
Oh, no.
No.
No, in this example, because Abraham, to an extent, I agree with you because of this fire test and the protection of this. But
Prophet Muhammad?
No. Now I will make it easy. What is in my mind, to some extent, Prophet Muhammad والسلام, is correct, and also the other Abraham example is correct. But I meant here Ashab Cave. They didn't know anything, but they just followed their consciousness, and they said, "What these people believe doesn't make sense. They were not prophets." That doesn't make sense. Normal as a human being, using your human rationality, and the people attack you and try to kill you, God saves you. Don't worry about it. But how God saves you? In a cave. But in practical life, do you think I will seek refuge within a cave, and I will be saved there for 300 years? No. How about how I should apply to my life? What my cave will be, what my cave, and stay there for 300 something, hundreds of years, and then I will find a people who are following the true prophet and learn religion from this prophet, although I wasn't taught by a prophet. We have a good intention. Having a good intention, not contradicting your human nature, is also secured by God, rewarded by God. We shouldn't forget this as well. We may not know what the Quran teaches, what the religion teaches, but my conscience says, this is right, I shouldn't do that. Nothing to do with religion, religious experience, etc. I think I made my clear. But God saves you in such a way that you never ever imagine. You find yourself within a prophetic teaching. Do you understand the analogy? Ashab Cave? I don't really pay attention to what life was cave in then and this kind of stories. No, practical side. So don't worry about it. Don't worry. Listen to yourself sincerely. If there is a guidance from the religion, follow the guidance from the religion, from the message of the prophet. If there is not, follow your consciousness, and you will find how the prophetic teaching gives guidance to you, and then you would realize that, this verse refers to this. This ayah of the Quran refers that. Ashab Cave. Understood? You don't have to be saved in the cave, and 300 years after, find yourself in a community where they follow a true, authentic prophet and learn everything from the prophetic teaching. That is also applicable practical life conditions of us. Okay. Okay, all of my notes goes in Zulkarnain with this. Now, a baby was grown in the worst household, and at the end, it becomes a prophet and destroys this household. You know who it is. Come on,
Moses.
Yeah, you see. So you may be grown in the very secular, very atheist. We will study this in detail. It's a culture, civilization, and then you find out what? That you destroyed this atheist culture. Do you understand? How can you do that? While we are studying the Musa's example, we will go into this. That again, another one is, of course, we know that the prophet who saved and enslaved people, and they become at the end, really with the success of this prophet, free people. Moses, huh? Correct? Did I make it clear? The prophet saved the enslaved people, right?
Yes.
Now, this example goes on. Anyway, I just marked 28 something examples. They just came to my mind. I didn't go through the whole Quran to remember, but from my previous example, previous readings, I just find out that in my mind or the memories, these are the typical examples presented to us. Each of these events gives a guidance to us as far as our personal life experience in this world or our personal feeling experience in this world. Inshallah, we will start the Moses narration in the Quran next week, Wednesday. I think time is really, really late. I'm sorry. You see, chat box, and then we will stop. Okay. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وآخر دعواهم أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. Okay. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you, Brother Ali.
Okay. It was a summary of the prophetic narrations in the Quran today. I wanted to present it to you because I was excited about it, to see that every prophet really presents an example for my practical life conditions. That's why it's excellent. It is very important. Okay. Wassalamu alaikum.
Jazakallah kulla khair, Brother Ali. Thank you. It was really interesting.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you very much, inshallah.
You made me interested in studying all the prophets with you, Brother Ali, inshallah.
That is the goal, I think.
Yeah, I think we have to be careful. What? We have to be careful. Don't read this, the history of the prophets books. You will never get this approach at all. Just historical narrations, what happened to Zulkarnain, whether he was a prophet or not, these arguments, etc., etc. How far it went and where was the set he established in China, in India. Come on, man, nothing to do with me. China. How long, how many people there were in the cave? This is not my purpose. And how long did they stay in the cave? Let's say 200, let's say 500, nothing to do with me. I'm not going to live here for 500 years. It is obvious, Allah shows me. So what am I going to do then with the number of the years that, or the centuries I stayed in the cave? What is the point? But this is an example for me that at the end, if you follow your conscience without being aware of the prophetic teaching, if you follow your conscience, at the end, you will be encountered with the prophetic teaching. Don't worry about it. God guarantees it in the example of cave, Ashab cave. It's a perfect, to me, very practical, very perfect approach to the prophetic narrations. That's why I say, do not study prophetic narrations in the history of prophets in the Quran books. I couldn't find any of this at all practical. So don't waste your time.
That's why we are here, Brother Ali.
Okay, thank you very much. Welcome. Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. I think I should stop. It's too late. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.